We are live. I
Okay.
love using StreamYard. They're so supportive, but man, they make changes without telling me, and then I have to go, now what? Anyway, good morning, Crystal. How are you, man?
I'm well. I'm well. Everything is well.
Good deal. Good deal. I know you're busy. Got a lot of stuff going on with the kids and the garden and you name it. Your hands all over in it. So
Yeah, right, exactly. Garden, I'm just now being able to find a few moments every now and then to get to it, but it's coming along. It's slowly but surely going to happen. Other than that, yeah, the kids have kept me extremely busy. Plus, my adult classes have been extreme as well.
oh wow, wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Um, Today's show is pretty interesting. The title is Why Education Doesn't Improve Retirement Outcomes. And I thought about this topic and I thought, wow, if I'm really going to present it, I really need to be careful because for so many people like myself, as you can imagine, education is the way we grew up. It's what we do. It's what we do in the industry. It's one of the reasons why um, this is one of the reasons why this is one of the few industries that is really devoted to helping people reach their retirement goal.
Right.
But as I was saying a couple of weeks ago, um, we started out on this path of trying to make everybody that we come into contact with with our clients, that is, to make them investment professionals. And what we're starting to find out is that's not necessarily, um, it's not always appropriate.
Hmm.
So when I was thinking about this, I started to do some research and I thought, oh, I better take some notes because I'm throwing myself under the bus. But I think it's really important for us to know from the point of view of outcomes with regard to employers spending the money wisely and with regard to employers actually having a pathway so that people come into the organization, want to stay in that organization, and leave. So that means employers get that new blood. They treat the people that are there well so that they'll stay, and they get the opportunity for folks that are actually senior with them to stick around and help bring other folks forward, which keeps a continuous flow of ideas and good outcomes, which is good for the employers. It's good, especially for the employees, and it's good for all of us to have. Um, well, I'll just come right out and say it. I don't know about you, but by the time I retire, I need a lot more taxpayers than just me. So,
I
so,
quite agree with you.
so people that have enough money to live on and are able to make ends meet and have an enjoyable retirement, that's an important and good thing
Yeah.
for all of us. So let's jump right in.
All
Um,
righty.
yeah. Before we do that, how about if I read your bio and then we can start talking about this.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Hello, everyone. You are listening to and hopefully watching On the Patio with Crystal Mitchell and Jevon Thomas. Who is Crystal Mitchell? She is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co director of Recycling Black Dollars, the co host of The Business Zone. That's another weekly online radio show.
Hmm.
She does that with her partner Gilbert. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, thanks for
Hey,
joining.
everyone. How are you? Happy Monday.
Okay, let's get right down to it. So the name is of this one is Why Education Alone Doesn't Improve Retirement Outcomes. So I got to ask you straight up, what do you think about that?
Wow. There's so much going on right now, and I think people are just, they're recognizing that what they did plan for their retirement is not actually going to, not doing it with the increase of cost. And I think what I will say is that, some of the educational components or things that we've learned really are challenged to apply in the now world, because the now world is operating, you know, off of undocumentation. It's just going. So I think the education was based upon, as you said earlier, that everyone would be contributing accordingly, and therefore now, you know, the economy and how we all live would be, there's some sort of balance, but I think we're way off. We're tilted way far over to the right now.
To the right being not making contributions.
Yes.
Ah,
Right, to the contributions. Just a lot of components to this scenario nowadays.
yeah, I gotta say, um, from my own personal experience, I've never met a participant in their early to mid 60s who said to me, I saved enough. I don't have what I thought I was going to have. Most times people say things like, I tried to save, I wasn't able to save. And I think,
Right.
we have to make sure that we give people their credit for doing that, right? We have to give them their
Mm-hmm.
props, and we have to do it early in the saving time period. That is early in the saving part, right? Where they're building the assets. We have to come in and take a look. I've never met an employee that said, I'm saving enough for retirement. So, coming from there, um, and again, I know, sort of like a stick in the eye of folks like myself.
Mm-hmm.
We keep saying to employers, you have to educate your employees, and it's true. You do have to educate your employees. However, um, that doesn't always lead towards higher engagement,
Right.
right? It doesn't always say, okay, once you get educated, you're going to save more, because most people know they need to save more. It's just that other things get in the way, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the question then becomes, all right, we want to have people have a positive and a good outcome. What are we supposed to do if they don't save? And it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't know they need to save, right? But when you're taking a look at trying to figure out the health plan, trying to figure out what you need to do with your kids, trying to figure out what the education is going to be like, trying to figure out where the bathroom is, trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
all those things that go into being an employee. And I know I'm missing some because I haven't been an employee in a while. You've got a lot of things pulling on you, right?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
get right down to it. Um, but they know they ought to save. That's not a question. So we can educate, but that doesn't mean that's going to get them there. And I'm not going to flow into, well, if they just saved and thought it was important. I'm not going to do that, because that's um, that's disingenuous,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the real issue is, okay, if if I as an employer need to help people with their outcomes, uh, and we already know they ought to save, and we already know that more information isn't going to help, because that's just going to make it like, oh, he said stock, he said bond, he said this. I'm already confused. I'm not going to do anything. So, what is an employer is supposed to do? I gotta put a plug in for a clip, right?
Mm-hmm.
More information doesn't fix the broken experience, right? So if the employee is thinking, this is too complicated, and we give them more information to think about,
Right.
that work. So me as an employer, what am I supposed to do? I'm putting this money out for the plan. And by the way, I've never met an employer that didn't realize that if I come in and do a meeting for their employees, it's going to cost them money, right? If I
Mm.
go into a manufacturing plant, they've got to
Right.
shut that line down. They got to pay their employees. And then after that meeting is over, they got to bring that line up. And let's say that line takes half an hour to an hour to shut down. Then it's
Mm-hmm.
shut for an hour or 2 hours. And then it takes a half an hour to an hour to bring that line back. We're already at
Mm.
4 hours out of the workday, and that's money.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think many employers are doing a great job by saying, "Okay, come on in, Jevon, and let's talk with these folks," right? And I'm one of those people who thinks it's really good when an employee says, "I've never heard it explained that way before. This is interesting." And as much as that makes me feel good, it doesn't mean that that's going to translate into them actually putting more into their plan or not just going for the default plan. So
Right.
again, I say, as an employer, what do you do? What would you do?
Well, I guess I mean, and if we're talking large companies, it's kind of hard to have, the relationships with the boss and the employees are kind of distant. But smaller companies, I think, are a little bit more conscientious. I know I have one of my best friends works at uh, she's a director of HR. And I think she's been actually uh, promoted to a VP or something of that nature in that department. But I think they have about 50 employees, and it's a manufacturing company, and they do extremely well. But what
Mhm.
they have is an ESOP, and so they really do sit down and have these conversations. And even when she worked for Continental at one time before it merged with United. And they were really conscientious with their employees, making sure that they understood. Um, they had an open door policy. HR kind of worked for both owner and the employee. That was the philosophy. And I think in her situation, scenario, it works the way they engage with their staff. And I'd say majority of their staff were Latino, and it's a very specialized job that they do. And so they're very conscientious. But I don't know. So I guess it depends on if the founder is still involved in the original company. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think for corporations, I think if the board they have is people centric, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think there's a lot of factors to it. But if it's all just about making money, there's a lot left out. Money is important, and success of a company is important. But I think you don't get that without the people. The people are your true assets of your business.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that's why 401k plans and 403b plans and 457 plans, any of those company sponsored benefit plans are so important because when the employer understands that uh, having people come to the office and they're not stressed about finance, which is a huge stressor in so many relationships, they're going to be better employees. They're going to think better. They're going to want to stay longer. So that training that they're going to give them is a good thing. So we all know that providing solid benefits is important. But I think the point that you're making there about engagement from the employer is really important. If that engaged employer can give me a call and say, "Hey, Jevon, come talk to my folks about what do we do now that we're in the retirement plan," we get a lot more involved.
Right, exactly.
But I would say that as much as I truly believe in that, I am a retirement plan advisor and I don't get as many calls, not nearly as many calls as I used to from employees. And I think it's because they're overwhelmed with
Mhm.
all the decisions they have to make. Um,
Mhm.
they're they just don't know what to do. They're scared. Our times are kind of tough, and so now is the time that people really should be calling me, and they're thinking perhaps they don't have enough money. I'm not going to be able to help them. All kinds of situations. Right?
Yep.
So even if you do have an engaged employer, and I think many of my colleagues who happen to be employers are that way, um, you still have to deal with who it is that you're talking to. And these people are busy and they're scared and they are confused and they need something to make these decisions easy. And they need a path that's going to get them to their retirement goal or help them get to their retirement goal. And they also need the opportunity so that if they're unable to make a decision, they're guided down the path to where good decisions are being made for them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if I take a look at how we handle plan design, and I think that's really a big part of my job as well, is number one, we know people stick with defaults. Number two, we know folks don't like making decisions where they're confused.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, I don't know, lastly, people procrastinate. I do. If you
Mm-hmm.
know how long I've been searching for a doctor, you would slap me. My goodness. I have been looking. I have not been looking, but I have been to the doctor since I can't. I mean, it's really bad, and so much stuff to do, right? And I'm thinking,
Right.
so, and I know retirement is exactly like that.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
um, so what do we do? I think the most important thing to do is for employers and for HR groups to say, hey, this is my group of employees. Um, let's take a look at the defaults. Let's take a look at, for example, that target date fund. And let's say that target date fund can adjust based on not only what your risk tolerance is, but the age of your risk tolerance. So now there are target date funds, for example, that say, okay, you are in your 20s, you're going to retire in your 60s, you're going to get more conservative. But our second component is what's your risk tolerance, right? So you take that questionnaire that says, my risk tolerance is X. Okay, your risk tolerance is an aggressive person. So we're going to manage your portfolio from start A to to B as an aggressive person,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's less
Right.
aggressive rather
Right.
than someone who is, um, very conservative, right? So you do have to get in, but they manage the portfolio for you. The other thing is when we're looking at that match, right? Do we set that match up so that we get the basic safe harbor? That could be appropriate, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm an employer and I'm willing to do the safe harbor, can I set that match up so that it encourages my participants to put in more than 5% in order to get the 4%? Can we do what we call stretching the match, right? So those are just a couple of things we can take a look at. Can we make sure that we say to our employees, hey, this money's going to come out of your paycheck. If you don't like that, you've got 30 days or so to get out of it or to change your mind, right?
Right.
Then, as those of us that are in the field, can we make sure that we actually are available? I mean, the
Right.
worst thing in the world is to call an 800 number and not get anybody,
Mm.
right?
So true. So
Right.
very, very true.
So I like the idea of simplifying behavior. I like the idea of automatic processes. Let's make it easy for folks to make a decision that's going to be good for them. Some thought's going to be involved, and that's appropriate. I think we have to have a little thought, but I don't think we have to make everyone investment professionals as much as I would love to do that. So, one of the things that I would say, and I'll let you get the last thought before we close out, but I would say that good plan design beats good intentions every time. I'll just put that on a clip. Hopefully, good plan design beats good intention every time when we're talking about a 401k plan. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? And lastly,
Exactly.
uh, more and more companies are getting 401k plans. More and more people are suggesting that people invest in the market as employees. Take full advantage of that benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Get right down to it. If the system really, really worked, people wouldn't have to think as hard about it.
No.
You know,
No.
it'd be no
Or
brainer.
stress about it,
Or
because that's really what it comes down to when that time comes for retirement and is getting closer and closer and closer. People start to stress, right? And they know they want to do it, and even sometimes their body tells them that it's time to do that, but when they go to do the budget, it says no, not yet. I can't afford to do this, and especially with rising costs. So I think the more transparent everyone is in today's world, I think it's so much better for all bodies involved.
I couldn't agree with that more. And I'm just going to go out on a limb, and I'll probably get some cards and letters about this, but I would say we have a priority problem here.
Hmm.
We do. We like to live for the moment. I know I do. I know I would rather buy a bottle of bourbon than stick an extra $50 in my retirement plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens to a lot of us. So, making decisions as a family, making decisions about retirement with that particular goal in mind, actually having a conversation about that, I think it's really, really important. And I know that we normally don't do that. you know. And for those of us that are in that situation where we're doing the best we can, I mean, let's get right down to it.
Yeah.
We are we're doing what we can. In that situation, let's make it easy for those folks to at least get in the plan and at least know that they're heading in the right direction. And when it comes to only thing they need to do is put a little bit more money in, they feel comfortable doing that. Right? Let's make it easy.
I agree 100%.
Okay, that's all I was going to say about this topic. I believe in education, but I also understand that not everybody was cut out to be an investment professional. So,
Yes, exactly.
would you like to say the last word, or shall I read your bio again?
I think you can read the bio. I think I think everybody's kind of clear on where we stand in this area, right? We got to look at our future as well as our current situation. And here's the one thing I do know, and this too shall pass.
And this too shall pass. Very wise words. Well, hello, everyone. You folks have been listening to my colleague Crystal Mitchell and myself, Jevon Thomas. I'm a licensed retirement plan advisor, but Crystal is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollar. She's the co-host of the Business Zone. That's another weekly online radio show that you should take a look at. Crystal is also an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and of course, my favorite, a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. That's only my favorite because I used to mess that up the first 9 times that I said it.
That's so funny. I am gonna leave us with this one. I had posted this post. I do motivational posts motivational posts every morning, and this one was, I thought, I'm stuck between too young to be rushing things and too old to be wasting time.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Well said. Crystal, it
Okay.
has been a pleasure. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye, everyone. Have a great week. Be safe out there.